The road was supposed to save us. That's the part people don't understand when I try to explain it. We didn't choose that drive because we were reckless or bored. We chose it because we were tired in the kind of way sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that sits behind your eyes and makes even familiar places feel heavy. We thought the road would give us space to breathe. It was late afternoon when we packed the car. The sky had that soft golden color that only lasts a few minutes, like the world was being gentle on purpose. Mara handed me a bottle of water and smiled the way she always did when she was excited about small things. She loved trips like this. Loved the feeling of movement. Said it made her feel like life was still open, like doors hadn't closed yet. Nothing about that moment felt wrong. The engine started easily. The radio played something soft and familiar. The air coming through the windows smelled like dust and warm trees. When we pulled onto the highway, it felt like the beginning of something peaceful, not the ending of anything. Joel suggested the old road almost casually. There's an older highway that cuts through, he said. Less traffic. Takes a bit longer, but it's quieter. Mara turned toward me immediately. Her eyes lit up. Please, she said. I hate traffic. Let's take the quiet one. I remember hesitating for just a second, not because I was scared. Just because the word old stuck with me, but it passed as quickly as it came. I nodded. And Joel took the exit without another thought. The road narrowed almost immediately. Trees lined both sides, tall and close together, their branches leaning inward like they were curious. Sunlight filtered through them in broken pieces, dancing across the hood of the car. It felt like driving through a painting. For a while, everything was perfect. We talked about nothing important. Old stories. Inside jokes that didn't make sense anymore, but still made us laugh. Lena asked questions about places we passed, even though there were barely any signs. Mara leaned her head against the window, tracing shapes in the glass with her finger. At one point, she said quietly, I wish drives like this could last forever. Joel laughed. Careful what you wish for. It sounded like a joke. It felt like a joke. We all laughed. We stopped at a gas station just as the sun dipped lower. The place looked forgotten, like it had been built and then ignored by time. Only 2 pumps worked. The lights above them flickered constantly, buzzing softly inside. The shelves were half empty. Snacks were dusty. The cashier barely looked up when we paid. His eyes stayed fixed on something behind us, something we couldn't see. When we walked back to the car, the sky had turned a deeper orange. The trees looked darker now, their shadows longer. That's when I noticed a sign. It stood just beyond the gas station. Half hidden by weeds. The paint was chipped, the letters uneven. Like someone had repainted them by hand long ago. Stay on the road. I stared at it longer than I should have. Mara followed my gaze and laughed softly. That's dramatic, she said. Like the road needs encouragement. Joel shrugged. Probably to keep people from wandering into the woods. Nothing weird about that. Nothing weird. That's what we kept telling ourselves. We got back into the car, and the road welcomed us again. The light faded slowly, like it was being pulled away inch by inch. The radio played a different station now, though no one remembered changing it. The music sounded thinner somehow, like it was coming from far away. About 30 minutes later, the GPS screen flickered. The map froze. The arrows stopped moving, even though we were still driving. No signal, Joel said, tapping the screen. That happens out here. Mara shifted in her seat. We've been driving straight for a while, haven't we? I looked ahead. The road stretched forward, perfectly straight, disappearing into darkness. No curves, no exits. Just the yellow line cutting through the night. Yeah, I said, but it's probably just a long stretch. We passed a road sign. I tried to read it, but the town name was unfamiliar. The letters looked worn, like they'd been exposed to weather for decades. A mile later, another sign appeared. Different town. same distance. Lena spoke up from the back seat. Has anyone else noticed there are no animals? What do you mean? Mara asked. No roadkill, no insects hitting the windshield, no sounds. It's just quiet. We listened. She was right. Even with the windows slightly open, there were no night sounds. No crickets, no wind. Just the hum of the tires against the asphalt, and the engine breathing steadily. The radio crackled. Static slipped between the notes of the song, stretching longer each time. The music warped slightly, slowing down and then snapping back into place. Joel turned the volume down. This station sucks. But the silence that followed felt worse. The headlights illuminated more trees. They all looked the same now, same spacing, same height, like they were planted deliberately. Mara reached for my hand. Do you ever get that feeling? She said softly. Like when you realize you've been staring at something too long and it's staring back. I squeezed her fingers, trying to smile. You're just tired. She nodded, but she didn't let go. That was when we saw the car ahead. It sat on the shoulder, angled slightly toward the road. Hazard lights blinking slowly. 1, 2, pause, 1, 2, too slow. As we got closer, my stomach tightened. There was no movement inside. No driver. No passengers. The doors were open, both front and back, like whoever had been there left in a hurry or didn't leave at all. Joel slowed down instinctively. Should we stop? He asked. Before anyone could answer, all four hazard lights shut off at once. The road went darker. The radio turned on by itself. A voice replaced the static, calm. Clear. Close. Don't stop here. The radio snapped back to silence. Joel's foot pressed harder on the gas. No one laughed this time. We didn't look back. And somewhere deep inside me, something settled into place, something cold and certain. The road had noticed us. We drove for a long time after that without speaking, not because we agreed to be quiet. It just felt wrong to break the silence. Like talking too loudly might remind something that we were there. The road stayed straight, too straight. The headlights carved a narrow tunnel through the dark, and everything outside of it felt unreal, like the world ended just beyond what we could see. Trees stood shoulder to shoulder on both sides, their trunks pale and identical, their branches tangled high above us. After a while, Mara shifted in her seat. I think we passed that sign already, she said. Joel frowned. What sign? The one with the crooked pole, the reflective paint peeling on the left corner. We drove a little farther. Then we passed it again. Same pole, same peeling paint, same scratches at the base. Like something had clawed at it. Joel laughed. But it came out wrong, too sharp. Probably another one just like it. No one answered. The GPS flickered back to life for a brief moment. The screen zoomed in and out rapidly, recalculating again and again, before finally displaying a single message across the map. Route unavailable. Then it went black. Lena leaned forward between the seats. Joel, how long have we been driving on this road? He checked the dashboard clock. His smile disappeared. That's not possible, muttered. The time hadn't changed. Not by even a minute. We all stared at it, waiting for the numbers to move, like if we watched closely enough, reality would remember what it was supposed to do. Nothing happened. The car kept moving. The engine sounded normal. The fuel gauge hadn't dropped. Everything that should change was frozen, and everything that shouldn't was still going. Mara whispered my name. I feel like we're being followed. I turned to look behind us. The road behind was empty. Just darkness swallowing the yellow line, but the feeling didn't leave. It pressed against my chest, heavy and uncomfortable, like standing too close to someone you can't see. The radio crackled again. This time, Joel didn't reach for it. Static bled into something almost like breathing. Slow, steady, not mechanical. Then faint music slipped through. A melody that sounded familiar but wrong, like a song remembered from a dream. Lena covered her ears. Turn it off, please. Joel turned the knob. Nothing happened. The volume didn't change. The sound stayed exactly the same, as if the controls were no longer connected to anything real. Then the music stopped. A different voice came through, not the same one as before. This one sounded closer to us, like it was sitting just behind the dashboard. "You missed your turn," Mara screamed. Joel slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a stop, tires screaming briefly before the sound vanished into the trees. The engine stalled. Silence flooded in. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Lena was crying openly now, her hands pressed to her mouth. "Where are we?" she whispered. No one answered, because none of us knew. Joel tried the ignition. The engine coughed, then started. Relief washed over us too quickly, too easily. We started moving again, and then we saw the lights, far ahead, soft and warm, blowing amber through the trees. They looked like porch lights, or street lamps. Civilization. Hope surged through the car like a sudden breath after being underwater too long. "There," Mara said. "I knew it. We're fine." As we got closer, the lights multiplied. Dozens of them now, lining the road, leading us forward. But something about them felt wrong. They weren't illuminating anything. No houses, no buildings, just light floating in darkness. We slowed down. The lights weren't street lamps. They were lanterns. Each one hung from a wooden post evenly spaced along the road. Their glass panes were cloudy, the flames inside burning without flicker and affected by wind. And beneath the first lantern, someone stood, a man, tall, thin, facing away from us. He didn't move as we approached, didn't turn, didn't react to the headlights washing over him. Joel rolled the window down slightly. "Hey," he called. "Are you okay?" The man's head tilted, slowly, not toward us, upward, like he was listening to something above the trees. Then, without turning around, he lifted his arm and pointed down the road. His finger was too long, too many joints bending where they shouldn't. The radio turned on again. The calm voice returned. "Keep going." Mara was shaking. "I don't want to," she said. "Please don't keep going." Joel hesitated, and then the man stepped off the road. As he disappeared between the trees, every lantern went out at once. The darkness rushed back in, thicker than before. We drove on, not because we wanted to, but because stopping felt worse. Minutes passed, or hours. It was impossible to tell. The road curved for the first time since we entered it. My stomach dropped. Ahead of us stood a large sign, freshly painted, the letters bright and clean compared to everything else we'd seen. It read, "You are doing well." Lena let out a broken sob. "That's not a road sign," she said. "That's not for directions. That's for us." As we passed it, I realized something horrifying. There were handprints along the bottom, hundreds of them, different sizes, all pressed into the paint like people had touched it while it was still wet, like they wanted to be remembered. The road straightened again, and far ahead, just at the edge of our headlights, I thought I saw movement. Not one figure, many, standing very still, waiting. At first, the figures ahead looked like shadows, just darker shapes standing where the headlights faded into black. They didn't move. They didn't sway. They didn't react when the light touched them. They simply existed. Joel slowed the car without saying anything. None of us told him to. It felt instinctive, like approaching a sleeping animal. As we got closer, the shapes became people. Men, women, some tall, some short, all standing just off the road, perfectly spaced, like they'd been arranged. Their faces were pale, their expressions calm, too calm. None of them blinked. Lena's voice trembled from the back seat. "They're smiling." She was right. Every single one of them wore the same small, gentle smile, not wide, not threatening. The kind of smile you give to reassure someone. Mara squeezed my hand hard enough to hurt. Joel whispered, "Don't look at them." But it was impossible not to. As we passed the first one, I felt a pressure behind my eyes. A sudden rush of images that weren't mine. Memories. A birthday party I'd never been to. A hospital room that smelled like disinfectant and grief. A child crying in the dark. I gasped and looked away. Did you feel that? Mara asked. I nodded. Each time we passed another figure, the pressure returned. Different images, different lives, all ending abruptly. Cutting off mid-moment like a tape being ripped from a machine. These aren't people, Lena whispered. Not anymore. The radio crackled softly. As if pleased. You're understanding, the voice said. That helps. Joel slammed his hand against the dashboard. What do you want? He shouted. The voice didn't answer right away. The figures began to move, not toward the car, down it. They stepped closer to the edge of the road, one by one, as if making room for us, guiding us forward. Their smiles widened slightly. Mara sobbed quietly. It feels like they're happy we're here. The road narrowed again, forcing us closer to the center. The trees leaned inward, their branches tangling overhead until the sky disappeared completely. It felt like being swallowed. Then the car headlights flickered, just once, in that split second of darkness. Something brushed against the side of the car, not hard, deliberate, like a hand trailing along the metal. Lena screamed. The headlights snapped back on. The figures were closer now, so close I could see details. Cracked lips, hollow eyes. Skin stretched thin over bone. Their clothes looked outdated, mismatched, like they were pulled from different decades. One woman stood out. She looked normal to normal. She was young, maybe my age, long hair pulled back, the jacket I recognized, Mara's jacket. Mara froze. That's mine, she whispered. That's my jacket. The woman lifted her head and looked directly at Mara. Her eyes were wrong, not empty, full, overflowing with longing. The radio spoke again. She almost made it. Mara shook her head violently. No, that's not me. The woman smiled wider and took a step forward. Joel hit the accelerator. The car surged ahead, pushing through the narrow gap the figures left behind. Hands reached out as we passed. Fingers brushed the windows, the roof, the trunk, not grabbing, just touching, claiming. The figures fell away behind us as suddenly as they'd appeared. The road opened up again. For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of our breathing. Then Lena spoke. They're us, she said, or they were people who came here and didn't leave. The voice returned, softer now. Some leave, it said, but not all. Mara stared straight ahead. How do you decide? She asked. The road sign answered for it. We rounded a bend and nearly collided with it, large. White fresh, the road takes what it is owed. Beneath the words was a smaller line. You brought too many. Joel slammed the brakes. The car stopped on its own this time, the engine cutting out instantly. The air changed, heavier, thicker. The trees around us shifted, not visibly, but audibly. Wood creaked. Leaves rustled without wind. Mara's voice broke. What does that mean? The radio clicked on one last time. You entered together, the voice said. But the road does not accept groups. A sound came from the woods. Footsteps. Many of them, moving closer. The footsteps stopped just short of the trees. They didn't step onto the road. That felt important, like there was a line even they wouldn't cross. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. It pressed in on us from every direction, heavy and expectant, like the road itself was waiting for our response. Joel tried the door handle, locked. All four doors clicked in unison, even though no one had touched the locks. Lena started hyperventilating in the back seat. I want to go home, she sobbed. I want my mom. Mara turned toward her, forcing her voice to stay calm. We will okay. We just need to breathe. I admired her for that. Even then, even when fear was cracking her voice, she was trying to hold us together. The radio turned on again, but this time the sound didn't come from the speakers. It came from everywhere. From the dashboard, the seats, the air itself. You may ask questions, the voice said. The road allows that. Joel swallowed hard. What is this place? A pause, then a passage. To where? I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. Forward. Mara shook her head. That's not an answer. It is the only one, the voice replied. Lena wiped her face with her sleeve. What happens to the people out there? The trees creaked softly, like they were stretching. They arrived, the voice said. They traveled, they stayed. My stomach dropped. They didn't leave. No, the voice agreed calmly. They paid. Mara's grip tightened around my hand. Paid what? The radio hummed. Time, memory, self. Joel slammed his fist against the steering wheel. That's not fair. Roads are not fair, the voice said. They are useful. A shape shifted at the edge of the headlights. One of the figures stepped forward just enough to be seen clearly. It was the woman who looked like Mara. She stood at the boundary where asphalt met dirt, smiling softly, patiently waiting. Mara's breath caught. That's what happens if we don't choose, isn't it? Yes, the voice said. Indecision is a decision. Lena let out a broken sound. How many can leave? The road answered before the voice could. A sign rose slowly out of the darkness ahead, metal scraping against stone as if pulled up from beneath the ground. One may leave. Joel stared at it, disbelief turning into panic. One, he whispered. You're saying only one of us can go. The sign didn't change. The voice returned. You entered with motion, it said. You must exit with sacrifice. Mara shook her head violently. No. There has to be another way. There has never been another way, the voice replied. The figures in the trees shifted closer, not stepping onto the road, just leaning forward, eager. They're watching us, Lena whispered. They want to see who we pick. Joel turned toward me suddenly. This is my fault. I chose the road. No, Mara said immediately. We all agreed. I felt something tightening in my chest. The road didn't care about blame. It cared about balance. What happens to the one who stays? I asked quietly. The voice softened, almost gentle. They become part of the road. The woman who looked like Mara lifted her hand and pressed it against her chest. Her smile wavered. For the first time, like she remembered something, Mara started crying then. Silent tears streaming down her face. I don't want to disappear, she said. I don't want to forget you. I wanted to tell her that none of us would let that happen. But the road was already moving. The trees leaned closer. The figures began to whisper. Hundreds of overlapping voices. Too low to understand, but filled with anticipation. The dashboard clock ticked forward for the first time. 1 minute passed. The sign flickered. Choose. Joel's voice cracked. There has to be a trick. We can draw straws. We can. No, Lena said suddenly. We all turned to look at her. Her face was pale, but her eyes were clear. This place feeds on fear and arguing, she said. The longer we fight, the more it takes. The radio hummed approvingly. You are learning, the voice said. Mara squeezed my hand again, harder, like she was trying to memorize the feel of it. And that's when I knew, before she said anything, before she looked at me, I knew what she was about to do. Mara let go of my hand. That small movement felt louder than any scream. She wiped her face slowly, like she wanted to look composed for what came next. When she spoke, her voice was steady, but her eyes gave her away. It should be you. The words didn't register at first. Not fully. They floated in the air between us, unreal. No, I said immediately. Don't even say that. She smiled at me then. The same smile she'd worn earlier when the road was still kind, soft, loving, certain. You're the only one who won't break afterward, she said quietly. You'll carry it. You always do. Joel shook his head violently. Mara, stop. We can't. She's right, Lena whispered. We all turned to her. She was hugging herself now, rocking slightly. But there was a clarity in her voice that didn't belong in a place like this. If this road feeds on people who hesitate, then the one who stays has to choose to stay, Lena said. Not be forced. Not be tricked. The radio hummed again. Yes, the voice said. Consent matters. My stomach turned. Mara reached up and cupped my face in her hands. Her palms were warm. Rio. Human, I love you, she said. That doesn't end here. Even if I do. I grabbed her wrists. No? We can all stay. Or we can all go. I won't choose you. Her eyes filled again, but she didn't pull away. You didn't choose, she said softly. I did. She opened the car door. The lock disengaged instantly. Cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of damp earth and something older like rust and rain. Mara, Joel shouted. The figures leaned closer from the trees. They were smiling again. Mara stepped out onto the road. The asphalt beneath her feet darkened, like it was absorbing her shadow. The woman who looked like her stepped forward from the trees, stopping just inches away. They faced each other. For a moment, they were identical. Then the other Mara began to fade. Her edges blurring, her smile relaxing. As if relieved, the radio spoke one last time. Payment accepted. The ground trembled gently. The figures retreated into the woods, dissolving into darkness. The sign ahead flickered, the words changing. Proceed. The engine started on its own. I screamed her name until my throat burned, but she didn't turn back. She only raised her hand once, not to wave, to remember. The road stretched forward, smooth and empty. Joel drove. None of us spoke. We didn't need to. Something had been taken, and the space it left behind felt infinite. The trees thinned gradually. The darkness softened. The sky began to lighten. Then, without warning, the road ended. We were parked at the edge of a familiar town. Sunrise, birds singing. A normal street sign stood beside us, clean and new. Joel slammed the brakes. We all looked around, stunned. There were 3 of us now. No damage to the car. No sign of the road behind us. Police said they found no record of an old highway there. No missing person reports matched Mara. It was like she had never existed, except for us. Life moved forward, because it always does. Joel stopped driving long distances. Lena wakes up screaming some nights, saying she's still on the road, and me sometimes. When I'm alone in the car late at night, the radio turns on. A calm voice whispers, "Thank you for staying on the road." And for just a second, I swear I feel a warm hand take mine.